The most brutal murders of Careaga family. True crime. In the scary world of true crime, where the lines between fact and terror blur into a narrative that will send chills down your spine, you should get ready to explore this otherworldly realm. Do you ever find yourself wondering what life is like behind the scenes of a family that appears to be perfect? Are there any dark secrets that are brewing beneath the surface, just waiting to be discovered? We invite you to accompany us on a trip through the heartbreaking narrative of the Careaga family, whose lives were tragically cut short in one of the most brutal and perplexing murders that has occurred in recent history. Is it possible for you to unravel the complex web of lies and brutality that ultimately led to their murder? As we descend into the gut-wrenching tale of what happened to the Careaga family, you should get ready for an in-depth investigation into the human psyche and the depths of evil. A little over 7 years have passed since Seabeck was left in a state of shock after the horrible quadruple murders that were committed on the Careaga family. Prosecutors in the murder trial that started on November 27th stated that the mixed household was highly close and readily accepting of its newest members. Evidence of a cold-blooded murder that was influenced by drugs and money has emerged since the years of searching for the killers and the arrests of 3 suspects in 2022. This evidence includes the secret career of a father that provided more earnings than a local taco shop could offer, as well as old friends and business partners who turned against one another. The trial is one that the officials predict will not be finished until well into the year 2024. The commencement of the trial took place in the Kitsap County Superior Courtroom, which is presided over by Judge Kevin Hull. For the purpose of assessing the fate of the 3 suspects, Danny J. Kelly Jr., 45, Robert James Watson III, 52, and Johnny James Watson, 50, an 18-person jury was sworn in and tasked with the responsibility of choosing their fate. 6 of the members of the jury will act as alternates. Each of the 3 individuals is being charged with first-degree murder in addition to a number of other felony offenses. It is anticipated that they would spend the rest of their lives in jail without the possibility of release if they are found guilty of the murders of John Derek Careaga, 43, Christale Lynn Careaga, 37, and Hunter Evan Schapp and Jonathan Felipe Higgins, all of whom were 16 years old. They have entered a plea of not guilty. Those who were familiar with the family continue to have a difficult time accepting the fact that the trial has lastly began after years of anticipation. The statement was made by Thomas Schindler, whose grandson was Hunter's cousin. It's about time to do this. We have been pursuing these individuals for a considerable amount of time, and we are aware of an excessive number of individuals engaged. It simply needs to be completed right away. An uncle of Jonathan's stated, "It's a lot of anger." And he was right. The lives of innocent youngsters were taken away. They have no choice but to serve their time in prison. In terms of what the family wants to obtain by the time the trial is over, some people do not even consider justice to be the appropriate word. Execution, Schindler stated in a direct manner. Lock them up. 4 individuals were slaughtered, and a family was brought to its knees. Kelly Montgomery began the opening statement for the prosecution by recalling the events that led up to Hunter's 911 phone call. As she did so, many people's faces were filled with tears. According to Montgomery, he went and saw something that no 16-year-old kid should ever see with their own eyes. In front of him, he saw his stepmother, who was drenched in blood and had passed away. The bodies of Christale and his brother Jonathan, both of whom had been shot, were discovered by him at the Seabeck mansion, which was located close to Lake Tahoe. The perpetrators then switched their attention to him and shot him twice, but he managed to survive long enough to alert the authorities. "Please assist. My entire family is ready to go." In the late hours of January 27, 2017, Hunter had communicated with the operators of 911 saying, "Me too." It took less than a minute for police enforcement to arrive, and when they did, they discovered 3 people that had been burned to death and a house that had been set on fire. A tree farm in Mason County, Ohio, was the location where the remains of John Careaga were discovered 2 days later inside a charred pickup truck. Montgomery referred to the efforts to ignite the fire as Herculean after coming to the realization that Hunter's unanticipated call to 911 may have likely caused a significant amount of harm to their preparations. According to what she said, there was not a single square inch of that house that was not altered by fire and smoke. The evidence will demonstrate to you that if Hunter had not been there, this house would have been completely destroyed by fire. They were unable to complete their process when Hunter called 911. After that, Montgomery took the jury through the days, weeks, and months of events that led up to the killings. Among the evidence that Montgomery shared with them was that John Careaga, in addition to being the proprietor of Juanito's Taqueria in Bremerton, had become a significant figure in the local drug-selling industry. The fact that he had a close association with Kelly, who was a well-known member of the renowned Bandidos Motorcycle Club, in the past, was another thing that was discovered along with this side hustle. Montgomery noted that the relationship deteriorated as a result of a quarrel around approximately $15,000 worth of stolen money. Considering that the case was constructed on the basis of the data acquired from a variety of phone towers, she stated that the broken relationship will be connected to the evidence of the investigation. She explained to the jury why she believes the records of phone activity of the suspects that were discovered during the inquiry will prove to be their undoing. The jury was shown map after map of the many towers, how they functioned, and why she feels this. The evidence is going to show you that one thing leads to another thing, leads to another thing, and everything connects, she added. This is what the evidence is going to bring to your attention. This is not a case of who killed someone. This is an example of the phrase, "they did it." It was not until November 28th that the defense was able to begin their time before the jury, since Montgomery's opening statement took up the entirety of the first day. Thomas Weaver, one of the 2 attorneys who are representing Kelly, brought to the attention of the jury the significance of witness testimony and the role that it plays in demonstrating the innocence of his client. "I am not going to minimize the severity of the situation in any way," he said. "It is a terrible thing to happen. However, on behalf of my client, Danny Kelly, I would like to firmly establish that it would be an equally tragic thing to double down on the tragedy in order to hold an innocent person responsible for it." In his description of the conflict between his client and Careaga, Weaver referred to it as more of a falling out. During the course of the conversation, he stated, "You are going to hear from witnesses who say that Mr. Kelly never spoke ill of John Careaga. It was a pleasure to have him as a friend, although." Additionally, he casts doubt on the evolving story of a witness named David Zaleski, who is a neighbor, and according to Weaver, he intends to do an in-depth study of Zaleski during his witness examinations. The attorney stated that Zaleski had very little to provide the police in the early stages of the investigation, and that he continued to provide additional information in the years that followed. When he talks about the area, he is establishing himself as a prominent witness. As Weaver put it, he is establishing himself as a major player. With one of the defendants reporting unwell on that day, the proceedings that took place on Tuesday came to a close without any opening statements from the other 2 defendants' lawyers. On November 30th, the opening statements are scheduled to continue. Subscribe now to delve deeper into the harrowing case of the Careaga family and unlock exclusive access to our in-depth investigation into one of the most brutal murders in true crime history. Don't miss out on the opportunity to join our community of armchair detectives as we unravel the mysteries that shroud this haunting tragedy.